your business, how you, in a year from 2024 to 2025, you 10x your profit, and that's huge. You know, not a lot of businesses are able to 10x their profit in a year.
I mean, when it comes to generating more profit in your business, there's really two paths, and there's only two paths.
Yep.
You can either get more customers, or you can make more money from each customer that you have. And so that's why here at 2x Profit, we're like, let's do the first session for free. They can either take the map and run with it. We'll give them the roadmap, being like, this is what needs to happen. Here's the math, here's the proof. And we work with them to do that. So it's unique to their business. It's not a generic template.
I'm excited to talk with you today.
I'm excited too.
Yeah.
We've been doing some cool things.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be fun to talk about.
Yeah. We've had a lot of really cool clients that we've been working with lately. And so we're going to talk about some of the lessons we've learned from working with them and some of the patterns and things that we've seen from business owners that I think we see across the board. You know, it doesn't matter like what industry you're in. A lot of entrepreneurs and CEOs and business owners kind of tend to have a lot of similar personality traits or behaviors or patterns.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, whether your business is in industry A or industry B, there's a lot of overlap. There's a lot of differences as well, but there's a lot of overlap, and you'll see common themes. And it seems to me that one thing I've noticed in my career is that the obstacles somebody overcomes tends to be tied to company size and growth trajectory as opposed to their industry. And so a company, you know, say in plumbing, could be facing the same thing as a company in like, you know, medical aesthetics, and they could be facing the similar or the same type of challenges related to like recruiting or HR or whatever, even though the industries couldn't be more fundamentally different. And that is something that, you know, we're able to see as we interact with these clients from different industries, is we can't say, okay, like this company is also struggling with the same problem that this company solved. This company overcame it using this strategy. Let's apply that strategy to this company. Oh, it worked. That's cool. Or, oh, it didn't work. Or it did work once we made an adjustment.
Yeah.
And over time, you're able to see these patterns and these different nuances with each industry. And I think that's, you know, one of the cool things that we're able to observe in our business.
Yeah. Yeah. And something that I really find interesting is I think it's hopeful for business owners that no matter what your business is, you know, you might think that you're this special unicorn in what you do with your business, but it can be hopeful and helpful to know that there are principles that can be applied to any business that can help you so that you can get out of kind of sludging in the mud with your business.
Yeah, for sure. There's this principle that I think it's called the Peter principle, but more or less it's people rise to the degree of their competence. So you hit the point where, you know, you start out in business and some people get stuck earlier, some people later, but you'll keep climbing relatively quickly until you get to the point that you're in new uncharted territory, and then you kind of stagnate and you flatten out there. And that's one of the things that, you know, I see among the clients we work with is eventually everyone gets stuck, and they can either try to figure out how to get unstuck by themselves, which takes time and money, and sometimes you're burning the candle at both ends, trying to figure out these problems. You're working 16-hour days. But at the end of the day, most entrepreneurs, they get into business because they're trying to bring freedom into their lives. They're trying to make more money. They're trying to be able to do what they want, when they want, where they want, with who they want, why they want. They want to travel. They want to do, you know, whatever it is that they want to do. A lot of times the key theme ties around freedom, but the problem is that when you hit a plateau in your business and you get stuck, you kind of fall victim to this Peter principle where you're no longer competent and you're not sure where to go from there. And then people find they actually build themselves into a prison. And so they're not actually growing their business that they want. They're not making more profit. A lot of the times when you get stuck, your profit actually declines. So they're making less money, working harder, more stress, and it's just a bad recipe all the way around. Are you ready for a realistic path to 2x the profit in your business? If so, click apply, fill out the form, and I will personally work with you to go over your numbers and next moves for your business, which is obviously why we started this business, so we can help those business owners to break through those plateaus and to make the modifications or the tweaks to their business model, to their pricing, to their package offering that will deconstrain their business and allow them to grow. And, you know, whatever that problem happens to be, we're pretty good at solving a lot of them. And yeah, I think it's really cool to see some of these recent case studies and some of these clients that we've been working with.
Yeah, so one client recently that we've been working with, we started noticing that we get emails in the middle of the night at all hours of the night, and you checked in on him, right, to see if he was doing okay. He told us that he works 16 hours a day every single day of the week.
Yeah, or more.
Yeah.
And I believe him.
Yeah.
In this particular situation, the issue was that he created a business model that worked early on. He got traction, and so he stuck to that same business model, but he didn't adjust and he didn't evolve as the business grew. And in this particular situation, he was taking one-time payments from customers, one-time cash collected, when the obvious path forward for him and his business to create a more stable future and hit his goals would be to create a continuity offering. And he mentioned when we brought the idea up of continuity, he's like, oh, that's a very smart play. A lot of people in our industry are are doing it right now and it's working really well. But when it's like, hey, why haven't you done this? He didn't really have an answer other than he's so busy focusing on these other fires.
Yeah.
And that's one of the biggest problems I think that entrepreneurs have, especially this client of ours, is your attention goes to where the fire burns the hottest.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not necessarily the thing that will create the most profit for you. It's not the thing that will give you the most freedom or the most money at the end of the day, or keep your business stress low. It's just the thing that's screaming at you the loudest, and whatever screams the loudest gets your attention. And sometimes that's some obscure opportunity that doesn't matter. And if you're not careful, you can spend weeks, months, years of your life chasing this fire that ultimately you put it out and nothing changes in your business. And you're like, why did I sink all that effort into it?
Yeah. Yeah, I've noticed that, like, with my own experience as a business owner too, is sometimes it's so easy to get distracted by little things that need to happen, when really those things you can pass off to somebody else. But as a business owner, you're getting stuck in the day-to-day every single day where you can't focus on the big things. And also, I think a lot of times you don't even know as a business owner, like, what is the clear focus that you should have to move the needle in your business.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the, obviously kind of our main thing we do here at 2X Profit is we take our clients through the 2X Profit audit, which for anyone watching this, it's a free 45-minute audit where our team goes in and we analyze the client's business. We identify where are they applying their efforts. Are they applying it to the things that will actually put the most money in their pocket, which at the end of the day is what they want. They don't want more work and more stress. They want more freedom, more money to do whatever they want to do with it. And we go through and we analyze their business and find these common friction points, and we find the misallocated effort, and we give them an actionable plan to hopefully 2X their profit in the next 12 months or faster. And I think that's been a really cool thing as we've developed that program, and as we've started seeing businesses go through that, and we've refined the offering just to see like how powerful it's been for these entrepreneurs to help them step out of these patterns they get caught in that are not moving their business forward. And so whenever you talk to an entrepreneur and their business is going backwards, or their profits are shrinking, or they're stagnated in their revenue, there's a bottleneck there. There's something that their current actions have caused. And if they keep doing what they're currently doing, they're going to get the results they keep getting. And I think one of the coolest things about like this 2X Profit audit is it's a mirror for these business owners, where for the first time they're like, oh, my revenue stays stagnant for the last 2 years. If I want to grow and I'm going forward doing the same thing, it's not going to change.
Yeah.
I'm stuck.
Yeah.
And sometimes you need somebody to kind of rattle your cage, grab you by the shoulders and shake you a little bit and be like, hey dude, if you do the exact same recipe, you're not going to get a different cake. Like, it's going to be the same thing time and time again. And I think that's, to your point, I think that's been one of the really cool things we've been able to see lately is when people get out of these ruts that they're stuck in.
Yeah. So going back to this business owner he's been working all day and all night, every day. And for years he's done this. And when you look at that, when you're doing the same pattern over and over again for years and years and nothing is changing, then just like you said, these things aren't going to get you out of that rut. It's not going to move the needle. And so something has to shift. And so that's what we were able to do, is we were able to go in and kind of fine tune a plan specifically for his business, to help him so that he can shift out of having to put this much effort in when he's only getting this much profit or reward out of what he's putting in. Okay, so something I would love to talk a little bit more about is how can business owners, I think there are probably a lot out there who feel like they're constantly running on the hamster wheel. So how can they know what to prioritize in their business so that they can actually move the needle and make more profit from their efforts?
Yeah, so we have a few frameworks that we use here at 2X Profit. And one of them, whenever I come to a decision in the business, I ask myself 2 questions. Will this get us customers, or will this lose us customers? If the answer to both of those is no, then I let someone else on the team deal with it, or I put it off to a later time. That being said, sometimes there's some compliance stuff you have to deal with, right? 3, will it land me in prison if I don't do this thing, or if I do this thing? If so, then it's important. Otherwise, it's just like, hey, like every entrepreneur has a to-do list. It's huge, right? Mine has 1,000 items on it. But if I go through every one of those things and I say, will changing the logo on my website, will it get me customers? No, there's no chance. Will it lose me customers? No, nobody that is working with us currently is going to be like, you know what? You've had that logo for too long. Like, I'm done.
Yeah.
So put it off, or put it on someone else's plate if it's really that important to you, right? Or if it comes to testing an email sequence, or changing something about your delivery vehicles, or something about your product. Will it get you customers, or will doing it or not doing it lose you customers? If the answer to both of those is no, then that shouldn't be your focus, because there's always going to be one bottleneck. So a bottleneck is kind of a constraint point where it limits how many results you can get through the system. So like in the manufacturing setting, if you have, machine A can produce 100 units per hour, but machine B can only produce 10 per hour, then it doesn't matter how often or how much you ramp up machine A,
Yeah.
the whole system can only do 10 units per hour. Even if you have a machine C on the other side of machine B that can do 50 units per hour, it doesn't matter. The whole system can only move as fast as its weakest link. And so in entrepreneurship, you're trying to find that weakest link. You're trying to put all your resources into solving that because you can't solve everything in the business. Business is unsolvable. The biggest companies in the world have huge problems that frankly I don't want to deal with, right? But they have huge problems. And so the problems never go away, they just change. And so you find the one problem, the one bottleneck, and you neutralize it with everything you have. Once you do that, that opens up the next bottleneck, and then you go and you neutralize that. Then eventually your business will grow to the point you're like, okay, this is enough to fit whatever my objectives were.
Yeah. Yeah, I think something that you find very quickly from prioritizing your focus like that is you find what really doesn't matter at all, what doesn't need to be focused on or even looked at, and then what things need to be passed off to employees. And I have seen with our clients that so many of them are doing things that most of their employees can do and can take off their plate.
Absolutely.
I think it's hard to let go of control and to trust other people to do as good of a job as you do, or to do it the way that you want to do it. But that is something that as you are kind of sifting through, is this going to move the needle or is it not? Those things will naturally fall into place as well.
Yeah, and I mean, business is just as much a mind game as it is anything else. And as entrepreneurs, the only thing keeping any business from getting to where it needs to be is what's up here, right?
Yeah.
And so if you take a $1 billion entrepreneur, and we have a few of them in our network that have mentored us, and then you take a day one entrepreneur, maybe doing $1,000 a month, the difference doesn't come down to time. It doesn't even come down to resources or money necessarily, because the $1 billion entrepreneur could start over tomorrow and spin something up that's immediately good that the $1,000 a month entrepreneur can't. But it's because of what's up here, right?
Yeah.
And so we need to get what's up here right. If we have the wrong blueprints and the wrong frameworks that we're operating from, nothing else matters.
Yep. Yeah, and you'll never get out of that hamster wheel cycle, and that can be pretty defeating, I guess, to feel like it's never going to end. You have this freedom, but you don't have this freedom, and
Yeah, and I mean, one thing I love about my journey, like I've done a lot of startups,
Yeah.
and most businesses fail. About 90% of them fail, and mine have not been an exception. But I've, the ones that have worked, like they're nice.
Yep.
And one of my companies, I was able to, from December of 2024 to December of 2025, the company 10x the profit that it was doing in 1 year, while I was largely absent. And I still have to poke my head in there. But I have a manager in place, and she's running things, and the team's running things. We have our processes, and we have our softwares, and everything's there, and the business just operates. And it's great. It's amazing. But part of what helped me get there, going back to those two questions, will this add customers to our business, or will it subtract customers to our business? Will it cost us customers or win us customers? That it made it a lot easier for me to let go of some of those things you're talking about and have more trust in my team when I realized the answer was no. Because it's like, okay, well, if the way the brochure is formatted isn't going to get me more customers or isn't going to cost me customers, then I don't need to care. And so even if, Susie, not actually on my team, but let's just call her name Susie, even if Susie went and created something that was worse than what I could have done, if it's not going to take customers from my business, then I don't care.
Yeah.
If her doing it perfectly, it was going to add more customers to my business, then amazing. But if it's not, then why do I care? Some things just need to be done. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs, like going back to the client you're referring to earlier, that's working just nonstop. I mean, we had a conversation just yesterday with him, and he even brought that to our attention. He's like, yeah, I'm doing so many things that I don't need to do, and my team's not being well utilized. And he's paying this massive amount on payroll cost, eating away his profit, by the way, and the viability of his business. And he's not even utilizing that team correctly. Meanwhile, you have team members, most people that work, they want to be challenged. They want to feel like they have meaningful work, whether, they're flipping burgers or doing high-end consulting or they're a software developer or whatever. Like, most people like to be challenged and they want to have fun at work. And so when you take all the problems from your team because you don't think they're capable of doing that, you're also shortchanging them, which is going to lead to turnover and them not feeling as motivated or inspired. And then you're taking on too much of the load.
Yeah, absolutely. So going back to your business, how in a year from 2024 to 2025, you 10x your profit, and that's huge. Not a lot of businesses are able to 10x their profit in a year. And so tell us more about what you changed to do that.
Yeah. One of the interesting things is sometimes you have to change a lot about a business to make it profitable, but sometimes you just need a few tweaks. And the interesting thing about this business is that there were only I mean, we did a bunch of tests, a lot of tests. But at the end of the day, like in hindsight, which is obviously 2020, there's about 3 tweaks that we made that completely transformed that entire business. And one of them is we created a formal add-on section to our product offering. Usually our add-ons were kind of intermixed in our offering, and so there wasn't a dedicated section. And we just moved it to the front of our brochure and to our sales presentation. And that made all the difference for us. As in, it doubled the profit for every single project that we brought in, which was insane. In some cases, more than doubled. We had larger average order values. We were adding more value to our clients because now it's like, holy crap, I didn't even know you could do that. And the reason they didn't know is because for years we didn't tell anyone we could do that.
Yeah.
And so it took several tries and testing and iterations to realize that. But at the end of the day, that was what made the difference. And because we were making twice as much profit per customer, we could spend more money on marketing to acquire them, which led to us getting more profit. And then we spent more money, got more profit. And so sometimes it's just as simple as taking a few sporadic things throughout your product offering and moving them to the front of the brochure in the sales presentation.
Yeah.
And that can 10x your profit. And there's some other things that we had to do, like logistic wise, right? As we started getting larger average order values, we needed to change some of our training systems and how we fulfilled orders and things like that. But at the end of the day, that wasn't crazy hard, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, not long ago, you did a 2x profit audit for a client of ours that very much similar thing, right? They're making about $600,000 a year. And what happened to them as a result of the audit?
Yeah. So with them, it was a similar experience where we went in and we looked at their offering, what they sell. They're a service-based business, and we were able to make a few tweaks to their pricing structure, to what they were offering, where it was able to free up their staff's time. It was also they were able to offer more value for what the customer was paying, and then they were also able to increase the price of what they were charging as well. And so it's kind of like this win-win for everybody, where the customer's getting more value, the business is making more money, and then they're also deconstraining something that was hard for them in their business. Was they needed to free up their staff's time. So just a few little tweaks, and they didn't see it, right? They didn't even realize that it was just those small changes that would make such a huge difference in their profit.
Yeah. And I mean, when it comes to generating more profit in your business, there's really 2 paths, and there's only 2 paths.
Yep.
You can either get more customers, or you can make more money from each customer that you have. And the funny thing is these guys were totally supply constrained, meaning they had way more customers than they could handle profitably, but they're still afraid of raising their prices because they're like, what if we scare people off? It's good.
Yeah.
You can't take on any more people. Their clinic was bursting at the seams, and they just didn't have the space to bring on any other people. So their solution was to go and buy a place that was 4 times as big and 4 times more expensive. It's like, hey, if you just change your prices, you don't need to get the place. You can get it, but you don't need to do it.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, like, you know, after talking to these guys about their goals, their goal is to have a business that pays their family well and allows them to do what they want and travel and do all those good things. Their goal isn't to run a bigger facility with more, more staff and things like that and put out more fires. That's not their goal. And so it's like, okay, well, if you look at the quickest path to your goal, just changing your pricing structure and making a few tweaks to your onboarding process, which, as you were pointing out, deconstrained this bottleneck in their system.
Yep.
That met most of their goals with almost no effort. And it's something that they can execute in like 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So, I mean, imagine that. Like someone comes up to you with a magic wand. They say, hey, you can have anything that you want, but you have to wait 2 to 3 weeks, and you might have to work a little bit between here and there. Like, you're like, okay, where's the downside? Let's do it. I'm down.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of times, going back to kind of your earlier point, people would just get stuck in these habits and these routines, and they're so close to the business, they can't actually take a step back and objectively look at it and be like, oh,
Yeah.
here's the problem, right?
Yep. And with that client, they were making 600,000 profit every year. We were able, in just one audit, one session, we were able to go in and show them a reasonable path on how they could more than double their profit. And it was really easy. It wasn't guessing. It wasn't unrealistic. And it was cool to see them make that happen.
Yeah. And I think one of the things I love about 2X Profit is we're very data driven and numbers focused, right?
Yeah.
We don't believe in any magic funnel thinking or, if you just, create the magical ad campaign that will return 30x your investment, like everything will be fixed. Like, no, let's find the realistic levers that you can pull today. And if we were in your shoes and we had your resources and your skill set and your team, like what would we do to make that happen, right? And that's how we approach these, and let's go at it from that angle.
Yeah.
And I think that's, going back to what you're saying, that's really cool that this is a very realistic plan. And
it changed their lives and their families' lives, being able to increase their profit with just those little tweaks.
yeah, and I mean, not that they're doing bad to begin with. I
Yeah.
mean, you're not struggling on $600,000
No, but when you're
profit.
doubling your profit, like that's
Yeah.
a huge deal.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think the cool thing is, like, for these guys in particular, it's like, okay, let's go back to your goals. What are your goals? Is it to have more staff, more headaches, more lawsuits, more of this, more of that? It's like, no, okay. Well, what's the fastest path to your goal? Okay, it's this. Then anything that is not this, let's not do it. And that simplified everything about their operations.
Yep.
Because now all these distractions, these shiny objects, they don't matter anymore. And so you let the team deal with those. The ones that, once again, are they going to win you clients if you do them, or lose you clients if you don't, or vice versa? Yeah, they should focus on those. But anything else, just let your team handle it. They're capable people. They're smart people. You're paying them a fortune. Like, let them use their brains. That's why you hire people, is to get their brains, right?
Yep.
And so that's been a really, really cool thing to see. And the thing that like really blows my mind is like that plan was put together in the 2X profit audit that they signed up for.
Yep.
With us. And we didn't even charge them for that. Now, if, obviously where we come into play, we do the 2X audit. It's a free process. We don't let everyone do it, right? We can figure out really quickly if a business is the right fit for us, and if we can actually provide value. If not, we're not going to waste their time.
Yeah.
And then if they want help executing the plan, like these guys, they're light on the ops side. They would rather be traveling than in their business. Like, cool, if you want, we can be your execution partners, and you can hire us to do that. And that's how we make our money at 2X Profit. So we do the 2X Profit audit completely free. Always will be, most likely. And then we come in on the execution part for the people that want that help.
Yeah. Something I really love about working with you is that you approach everything from a very scientific standpoint. There's a lot of tests and making sure that we're really methodical in how we are making changes in a business. Something I really like about working with you is that you have always approached things very methodically and scientifically. I am someone more who lives from my heart and from that intuition. And a principle that we have at 2X Profit is that your intuition doesn't always lead you to move the needle. And if it did, then you would have already achieved your goals. You would have already arrived. And so let's talk a little bit more about why it's so important to take a scientific approach to your business.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a few kind of things I keep in mind whenever I talk about intuition in business. Most people, they over-index on their intuition. They think they make better decisions than they do. And yet 90% of businesses fail in the first 5 years. And the ones that don't fail, it's like sometimes it's not that great anyways. And so I think it's important to realize, just from a humility perspective, that most people that start a business are pretty driven and pretty ambitious. And so that's not going to separate you from the ones that fail.
Yeah.
And a lot of people that start them have good ideas, right? So it's like we have to approach our own intuition with a degree of humility that it's like, I may be wrong on this, right? When it comes to knowledge, there's kind of 4 categories. There's 1, things that we know that we know. So these are facts, right? There's 2, things that we know that we do not know. And then we have 3, things that we don't know that we don't know. And this is where things get scary in business, right? Because if you don't know it and you don't know that you don't know it, it can be out there to get you, right? And the 4th, this is, I think, the worst one. And this is the number 1 cause of business failure. And these are things that you think you know, but you actually don't. And these are called assumptions. And so the way that I approach business, and I think the reason why I'm able to do what I can do and why I've been able to help so many, solve so many bottlenecks and deconstrain systems, is because I'm like, okay, what are the things we know? What are the things we know we don't know? Let's not spend a lot of time on the things we might not know, because we can never know those. But what are the things we think we know we might be wrong on? And let's test those. Even if we think we're right, let's test them and get the data, because we might be right. But 90% of businesses fail, so we might be wrong. And business is not one decision. Business is thousands of decisions compounded together for years. And sometimes being wrong on one thing can make the whole decision chain just fall to pieces.
Yeah.
And so obviously the tool that we use for that is a scientific method, which I think is the greatest discovery of humankind. And we learned about it in the 8th grade in science class when it comes to talking about why is the sky blue and things like that. But basically the steps of the scientific method is we make an observation. Some business is like, oh, I've noticed that, our cells have slowed down. And then we create a hypothesis based on that observation. Oh, I think it's because of X, Y, Z. And then we create a test to see if that's right or not. So we test that variable, and maybe we're right. And then now we know we expend our effort into fixing that. But maybe we're wrong, and there's something else that we should be fixing instead.
Yeah.
But if we use our intuition, which intuition's there for a reason, as humans, intuition developed because it's like if you're walking through the forest at night and the bushes move, you want to run from that thing. And that's what our intuition was there for. It was never designed or hasn't evolved to help us make good business decisions. It's help protect us from danger. And so when you go into a business, our natural responses aren't really well suited for that environment.
Yep.
And then, of course, once you test it and you're like, okay, this is the conclusion, then you can interpret the data and you can go back and either revisit your initial hypothesis, or you can move forward confidently knowing that, yeah, I'm now acting and moving forward on facts. I'm allocating my business's finite resources on factual information and context, rather than something I think is accurate. It's time to apply for your free 2x Profit audit now. Answer a few questions, and if you're a fit, our team will work with you one-on-one over a Zoom call to map out your profit roadmap so you can 2x the profit of your business in the next 12 months.
Something that I have seen with basically all of our clients is that they have their own set of assumptions with their business of, this is the reason that I have this bottleneck or this challenge or, whatever. And a lot of times they're kind of looking at a lot of different things that they think could possibly be causing their bottleneck, but most of the time they don't actually know. And so they're focusing on a lot of things, trying to put a lot of fires out, trying to see what will fix it. And so let's talk a little bit more about, how can you know that you are focusing on the right thing to help you move past that bottleneck in your business?
Yeah. Sometimes the answer, unfortunately, is you have to test a lot.
Yes.
But pattern recognition is one of the most important and insightful things that you can have. So if you've ever met an entrepreneur that seems like everything they touch turns to gold and their business is just growing like crazy, like we have mentors that have started businesses and within 3 years, they're doing 125 million a year in revenue, right? Full transparency. I have not created a $125 million a year company. I'm more of a lifestyle business guy, right? Like the 5 million range, that's kind of where my expertise really shines. But you're not going to see me, out there telling my friend who has a $125 million company how to run his business. But as I was talking to him about that, he's like, it comes down to pattern recognition. Once you learn how to analyze the patterns, you're like, oh, I've been here before. I know how to fix this. Like this is what happens when my manager's not appropriately trained, or this is what happens when I have a bad person in this position, or this is what happens when my tech system's breaking down on me. And because he has that pattern recognition, he's able to fix it really quickly, and he's able to get to his, his goal and his destination, his business a lot faster.
Yeah.
The reason it's so hard to be an entrepreneur when you start, especially if you go at it alone and you don't have mentors or anyone helping you, is you are stuck developing those patterns by yourself.
Yeah.
And that sucks. It's hard, right? And so I'm a big believer in education, like learning from other people's mistakes and their wisdom and helping them to springboard me to where I want to be. I could learn how to, get to where I am today. I could have done that myself. It might have taken me 10 years longer or 20 years longer. But I found a lot of very intelligent people who are where I wanted to be or want to be. And I learned from them, and I had them analyze my business, and I had them teach me. And a lot of what 2x Profit became was a decade of doing this process of going to these people who have built these $100 million and billion-dollar companies and learning from them, learning the leadership lessons, learning the business model principles and how to correct pricing and how to diagnose issues. I learned that from them.
Yeah. Well, and also, diving deep into all of these different companies that we've been able to work with, and going back to pattern recognition, seeing in all of these different businesses, the patterns that repeat over and over again for every business owner. That's been honestly really amazing to be able to recognize those so that we can help other people. Because just like you were saying, it can take a lot longer and it's a lot harder to have to figure these patterns and pattern recognition out on our own. And so it's nice to have other companies or other people who can come in and help us to speed that process along and to move time forward.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, that's why we created the 2x Profit audit, right?
Yeah.
Is because there's no shortage of people out there to take your money saying, oh, I can fix your business. I can do X, Y, Z. I have this magic wand. Let me wave it and these magical results will appear. And first off, I've been scammed by a lot of those companies on my way coming up. And so I don't want to do that to people.
Yeah.
And so that's why here at 2x Profit, we're like, let's do the first session for free. They can either take the map and run with it. We'll give them the roadmap, being like, this is what needs to happen. Here's the math, here's the proof. And we work with them to do that. So it's unique to their business. It's not a generic template. It's like, oh, you've got a landscaping company. Here you go. Here's the roadmap.
Yeah.
But it's something that works with them. And then obviously if they want our help executing it because they want to get there faster or they don't want to take on the stress or they don't know how to do it themselves, they can leverage our team and our resources to make that happen. Or they can just take the whole thing, run with it, and be like, hey, thanks. I'm like, cool. Send us a friend send us a referral. If you love it, that'd mean a lot to us.
Yeah.
And that's why we structured it that way.
Yep. So what we did first is when we went into this audit, we knew a few things. We knew that they're losing $20,000 a month. We also knew that this model that they are currently operating on is not sustainable. And then as we went in deeper into our audit, we discovered a few different things. One of the things we realized as we were going through their pricing and their offers is that their most profitable offer that they have is not their focus. They're not even looking for ways to sell this to all of their customers. It's kind of more like it's an afterthought, which is a huge problem because that's what's going to really make a difference in bringing in enough profit and revenue to be able to sustain the business and to pay everybody. The next thing that we also discovered is that there was no clear path forward for bringing their current customers into this higher profit offer. The third thing that we discovered is that the business is heavily reliant on the owners. So the owners were really stuck in the day-to-day operations. And there was a lot of things that at that point that the business couldn't do without those owners being so heavily involved. And like you talked about earlier, that takes its toll on the owner. It takes its toll on their employees and on the owner's family. It affects everybody when you as an owner are so entrenched in the day-to-day business. And so our goal with this audit was to create a path forward for them to pull the owners out of the day-to-day operations, and then also to create an offer that they can focus on that's going to bring in that higher level profit, and a path forward for their current customers to get into this new offer. And so that was our focus. So we went in and we created an offer that felt very valuable to the client, to their customers, and very exciting. And I can go more into that in a little bit, but the next thing that we did is with this offer, we created it in a way where it can be repeatable and scalable, because once again, we didn't want to tie these owners into this offer where they are once again stuck in the day-to-day operations. So we built it out in a way that their team can easily follow and repeat over and over and over again. And that's something that I love about 2x Profit is that we really do make it very clear and easy for people to follow so that anybody can follow these new processes that we're implementing for our clients.
Yeah. And I mean, to simplify and summarize your audit, essentially you walk into this business, you say, okay, you have this door and a person walks through the door. You have path A where the person gives you $10 and you have path B where the person gives you $100.
Yep.
Path B takes maybe 1.5 times the effort. So it's like maybe a little bit harder than path A, but you get 10 times the results from doing it. And the client was basically saying, let's keep doing path A.
Let's stick with the 10.
And so you're like, wait. Yeah. So path B, and I have to point out, the reason they're willing to pay 10 times the price or 10 times the profit or whatever, it's because there's more value there.
Yeah. Yep.
And it's a better experience for the client. So it's a better experience for the client. It's a more enjoyable experience for the team and the business owners. And it makes this business more unique. 9 out of 10 businesses in their space fail. It's a horrible space to start a company in, but they did it, right?
Yep.
And they're trying to do path A, which is what everybody does.
Yep.
Nobody does path B, but they've already proven that it works. But because they're so focused on making path A work, they didn't realize path A is just sure, someone comes in the door, hey, you should buy path B. No, I'll just do path A. Great, cool, buy path A, you get the $10. Now let's get you on path B.
Yep.
If you enjoyed this, you liked your results from path A, let's get you on path B.
Yes.
And they weren't doing that. And then they were so obsessed with getting more people into path A because they weren't making enough money. It's like, dude. And like I said, the real world results is they tried path B, their beta test night, they did 15,000 in sales in one night.
And they sold out.
Yeah. And the whole business does 50,000 in a month.
Yeah. Yep.
And so it's like, okay, let's get crazy here. What if you just did one night a week plus what you've been doing, and now you're at what would that be? I don't know, 110,000, something like that per month.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Just from combining this.
Yeah.
And like, I think a lot of times what happens with businesses is they're in the suck for so long. And they're like, I'm 2 years into this. We put $750,000 into getting this space ready. We expected the lines to be out the doors and it wasn't. And it just sucks and it sucks and it sucks. And then they just kind of accept this is what it is to be a business owner.
Yeah.
This is what it's like. And sometimes you got to go and like slap them a little bit. Like, listen, dude, like you were one change away from turning the entire trajectory of your business around.
Yeah. Well, and I think something really important to note, and we come across this with so many business owners, is sometimes when you're looking at a new path forward, your beliefs, that's when they really start to show up, and you realize how many beliefs are holding you back. We can't do that because of this and because of this. And most of those beliefs are just assumptions and a reflection, honestly, of our own fears and worries that we have internally. And so, once again, going back to where we can show the numbers and show the math and the profit around this new path forward, we can show a realistic way to get there. Sometimes it takes some inner work for these business owners to work through those limiting beliefs that they have that is keeping them stuck in their business where they are today.
Yeah. I mean, it's like you said, like what you've been doing got you to where you are today.
Yeah.
Do you want more of what you have today? If not, you got to do something different. If you want more, then great, keep doing it because you got the recipe down. But if your recipe leads to you throwing stacks of Benjamins in the fire pit every month, like
something's got to change.
And you don't want to do that forever.
Yeah.
I like my money. I don't want to burn $250,000 every year trying to keep a business open while working, while selling my nights and weekends, while stressing my family. And actually, we ended up having a conversation with one of the owner's wives, and she was almost in tears because she's like, I never see him anymore. He's always at the business, and my kids don't see him, and he's always working his tail off. And once again, he's paying money for the sake of doing that.
Well, and something that I also really loved in that conversation, she as we were talking about this path forward, she was worried about, is this going to take him away even more from our family and from our plans and all these things. And I love that 2X Profit, we can go in and help a business where we will do that execution. We will build out the systems and make sure everything is moving smoothly and everything's built out. The trainings are built out so that the team can run it, so that it's not putting so much more demand on these business owners. And so, that might be one of my favorite parts about what we get to do is we get to help relieve so much of the pressure off of business owners and off of their families.
Absolutely. And like the crazy thing about the 2X Profit audit. So once again, this is a completely free audit that we offer to business owners. Yeah. They have to be qualified. They have to be doing at least $50,000 a month or around there, or a path to get there pretty quickly. They have to have a viable business, right? It can't be like I'm drop shipping or anything like that. But we'll go in and we'll do all this for free. Obviously, we want to make money too. So our objective is, okay, you can either take this plan and we give them a blueprint.
Yep.
It's like you can give this to your team and you can execute it. More often than not, what we find is the team doesn't have the skills to do it, or they don't know how to do it or whatever. And so it's like, or we can execute it with/for you, depending on the level of involvement they want to be. And obviously we charge for that. And that's how, we're in business.
Yeah.
And the really cool thing that, that happens is you see these business owners that they just feel stuck and they feel like they don't have hope. And they wanted this thing to be great, and they opened it and they put in the sacrifice and they put in the time. And it's not that they're not working hard. Like a lot of times people think like, I'm working the hours, why am I not getting the results? It's like, because the hours don't get the results. Everyone has 24 hours in a day, but there's people with hundreds of billions of dollars and there's people with no dollars. And sometimes the people with no dollars work even harder when it comes to the actual work, right?
Yeah.
And so it's been really rewarding and really cool to see as we enter into these businesses and we start working alongside their team, how it's just like a breath of life gets put back into their whole team again. And they get excited about entrepreneurship and the business, and they remember why they did it to begin with. And they start seeing these changes, and it's really exhilarating.
Yeah.
It's really a really cool opportunity from our end, like just selfishly, to be able to see this happen behind the scenes. But it's an amazing opportunity for these business owners to finally get the help they need, to get unstuck, to break these thought patterns they might not even know they have that are anchoring them down, to find these bottlenecks in their business, these things that it doesn't matter if you're putting effort here or here. If your bottleneck's here, you have to hit that bottleneck.
Yeah.
And these business owners, a lot of times the bottleneck is somewhere they don't want to go. And so they focus on the things they're good at, but it's like, fix the bottleneck. That opens up the business for more growth. And then there'll be another bottleneck, then you fix that one, right? But it's been so amazing to see that happen.
Yeah, I agree. You reminded me of one client this last week where we have worked with him and his company to build out a new offer and training and all the different things to make this system run smoothly. And something that he had told you about was one of the best things that this sprint, this time working with 2X Profit has given him is renewed energy and new excitement for his business. And I think as a business owner, sometimes it really is so exhausting, and you can really just be so burnt out from trying to get unstuck over and over and over again and not seeing the results from that happening. And so when you can get help and see a path forward and start getting yourself out of where you've been for so long, it really is like, truly, it's just so re-energizing and exciting to be in that spot.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's crazy just comparing like day one, our onboarding call with him to where he is now, and just seeing just how much more confidence he has. And I mean, when we first met him, it was like he was playing whack-a-mole. It's like, here's a problem, whack, that one pops down. Here's another problem, whack, whack. Now it's like, dude, there's only one mole we need to focus on. There's 80 holes. There's moles popping up from all of them. Just watch this one hole. And every time the mole pops up, you just smash it with all your effort. Let everything else go.
Yep.
And it's been so cool. I mean, I was talking to him earlier today, and he was like, it's so nice that amid all the noise, like, you guys can help me focus and like, this is the only thing that matters right now.
There's the direction to follow.
Yeah. Well, this has been awesome. Thanks for your time and for sharing some of your experiences here at 2X Profit. So for anyone watching that's like this content, what's the next step for them?
Yeah. So like Keenan mentioned, we have a free audit that we do for anyone who qualifies. And so, like he said, you have to qualify. You have to be making $50,000 a month in revenue at least. But we have a form on our website on 2xprofit.com. So the number 2 and then xprofit.com. And you can fill that form out. You can answer the questions and see if you are eligible for an audit. And then we will go through your business. We'll chat with you and see how we can create a clear, sustainable path forward that is going to at least 2x your profit.
Nice. I love it. So go do that. If doubling your profit seems like something you'd like to do, take advantage of this. How many of these audits can you do per week, by the way?
So we only take a few customers at a time because we really want to spend our energy and our focus on diving deep into every business. So we do 5 a week. So not very many. We get a lot of applications that come in, people who want help. Obviously, it's nice to get some help with your business. So yeah, we go through, I read through every single application, and we work with those who we see, that we can really make a difference in their business and help them move that needle forward.
Just grab your spot. Five per week is not very many. So awesome. Well, until next time.
Yeah, thank you.
Click apply, complete the form, and our team will confirm within 1 business day if your business is a fit for a free 2X Profit audit.